Howdy folks, Marvin Forte here, KFNW Director and your host of the KFNW Current. I appreciate you joining us tonight. This is our recap episode for the Lake Cascade event. It was planned for last week, but I just couldn't make it. I had too much stuff going on with work. So we're here a week later to talk about that Lake Cascade frozen event. So my guests tonight, are Michael Mumford, Jordan Duggar, Andrew Larson, and Kyle Mallett. They'll be joining us in just a bit. Before we jump to them, though, I've got a couple of pieces of kayak fishing news that maybe you haven't heard about yet, so I wanted to bring it up. Z-Man has a new bait called the Kingpin. They've just introduced this new material. It's sinking Elastec, so it doesn't have salt in it, which most of the sinking baits do. Instead of relying on salt, the density's built into the polymer, so it's heavier, so it'll give you that slow sinking action for your wacky rig or something like that. It's the first bait built around that plastic. It's a soft stick bait, very much like a Senko. Symmetrical, segmented body. Perfect for wacky rigging. It's got a natural fall to it, and because it's Elastec, it's going to be tough. That's one problem with Senkos for sure, is you catch one fish on it, tears it in half a lot of the time, and you got to throw another one on. So with the Elastec, you'll probably be able to catch multiple fish, maybe even go most of the day or all day with it. So I'm kind of excited to try that. They've got it in a 3-inch and a 5-inch size. It's tear resistant because of the Elastec, so you don't really need an O-ring. You can just hook it right through the bait if you're wacky rigging it. It'd be interesting to try Texas rigging it. I'm curious to give that a shot and see how. It should be fine. Usually the Z-Man stuff, it's not a problem to Texas rig. I'm sure you'll see it at ICAST. It's not supposed to be officially released until the fall. But I'm sure that's why they just announced it like yesterday. So I think that's why they did, is they're going to have it at ICAST so people can check it out. Another item that you might want to check out is the ePropulsion K-Lite 750 motor. Friend of the pod, Jeff Little, is working with them now, promoting that motor. And I've been watching it, and it's got some really cool features that nobody else really has. It's a very strange looking motor. It's just basically a stick, and it goes down. It kicks up if you hit a rock or something. But apparently you can go in reverse with it without locking it, without pulling a locking line or anything like that. You could just go in reverse, and it has enough resistance that it'll stay down, and you can go in reverse a bit, which is kind of interesting. I don't even use reverse on my Newport. I didn't even install it because I just didn't feel like I was going to need it, especially with the pedal drive. So it's a rudder style electric outboard. The shaft itself steers the kayak, so it's sort of like the mast on the NK or the Torpedo, that it's shaped like this. And so that is your steering. It's its own rudder as well, which is pretty cool. The battery is integrated into that stick as well, so it's really one piece, the whole thing. Comes in under 15 pounds. It's got 3 modes: a go mode for 500 watts of continuous power, a sport burst you can trigger with a double tap for 750 watt boost for up to 60 seconds, and fish mode for precise low speed control when you're working structure. It runs in under 7 inches of water. I've seen Jeff do that. He had it in shallow water and was measuring. He could get into 7 inches of water and use it, which is pretty incredible. Reverse is spring tension, so the prop doesn't kick up. That's what I was talking about. It's going to be at ICAST. Jeff's going to be there showing it off. So I'm anxious to check out some of the videos that'll happen at ICAST and see what was going to be there. I was hoping to be at ICAST this year, but it didn't work out. I'm not going to make it this year. Hopefully next year I'll be able to go. And that's all the news I've got for you. So with that, let's bring in our first guest. Our first guest is going to be our 4th place angler at Lake Cascade. He also won Big Bass for the day. From Moscow, Idaho, Mr. Kyle Mallett. Kyle, let me turn your name on so people can see it. Good to see you, buddy. Oh, I can't hear you. Are you muted? You're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Oh.
There you go.
I just don't think that it's noticed it yet.
What's that? What'd you say?
So my screen had froze on me at the same time you're saying I was muted. So I don't know if I've caught back up yet or not.
You have. It happens sometimes. Okay. There's just a latency
Perfect.
issue and it'll pause a little bit, but it looks fine in the end. When I've looked at the video afterwards, there's always, I don't even notice it. So yeah, we'll just, if you see that again, just wait it out. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you having you on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. How long have you been fishing with KFNW? I know you've been fishing at least a couple years with us.
Yeah, I want to say this is going in on the 4th year that I've been fishing with KFNW. Kind of sporadic throughout the year. Nothing that I've really been able to put a whole lot of time to like make it out to the West Coast. I usually stick to anything that's on the east side of Oregon, Washington, and obviously in Idaho. So.
Sure. Yeah, he's in Moscow, so Dworshak is kind of the closest lake that we usually fish to you. And it's, an hour and a half away, something like that.
Yeah, going down into the Orfino, typically where the meetup's at is right around the hour 20, hour 30 mark.
Yeah. And have you been on the podium before? You've come close, at least. I know you've cashed a check?
I've not. So this is actually with the Big Bass has been my first one. Other than that, I've been out of the money at least once before, like the first out of the money. Crazily enough, on Cascade. That was when it happened last time. So.
Yeah. I knew you were right below the podium last time too. So it's kind of funny that you ended up in the same place. So you got Big Bass. Let me tell us about that fish. And while you're doing it, I'm gonna pull it up so people can see it. But yeah, tell us about that fish.
So for the most part, I kind of planned on going out and kind of sitting at the mouth of one of the creeks that had come in with all the rain that had happened the night before, kind of looking to see if I could find the edge of that muddy water where it was coming in. I kind of fished that as well as weeds. Found a nice little weed bed and was just kind of started casting up onto it with a Texas rigged Senko and kind of pulling it through the tops of the weeds, almost like a swim bait, top water, after letting it fall, hybrid mix. And yeah, she ended up hitting it. It was about 6 minutes in. It was like the 3rd or 4th cast. And I thought that the day was going to be awesome, even in the rain.
Kyle did get, I'm going to pull that fish up while we're talking here, if it will work for me. Come on. There it goes. It's real tiny. What's going on? It's itty bitty. There it is. 19 and a quarter. Looks like it was just post-spawn, maybe. That tail's all bloodied up. But yeah, so you were on the board early with that fish, certainly. So people knew what they were shooting for all day as far as trying to catch big bass. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. And like I said, I thought it was going to be a really busy, getting tired, and not necessarily getting the chance to cool off in the rain. It was shortly after that, started throwing the top water mixed in with it, kind of a little bit deeper back into the weeds. And the very first cast with the top water caught me my second fish. So I thought I was off to running, and then it took a while before I got 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, it was. I got off the water fairly early because I did not bring the right clothes. It was too cold for me, and I had to go to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom, and then I was like, I don't know, man. I'm already freezing my ass off. And so Matt Burdick was coming in around that time, so he and I just both got off the water early and did our judging and stuff, and took care of things. But we were fishing in kind of the same area that you were. We launched at the same spot. I saw you at the launch, and yeah, it was a good area. But it was a little slow for me. I didn't catch any fish early. I caught 2 shortly before I got off the water, and felt like the bite was finally kind of turning on. And of course, when we get to Mike Mumford, we'll see that too. It definitely did for him. You know, he was catching his fish later than everybody else, it seemed like. But yeah, you kept fishing them all day. You kept catching them
Yeah,
all day.
I was finding them on wood was kind of where they started to pick up.
Yeah.
Anytime that I'd find a fallen log was kind of when I'd pull in another one. But I got excited when standings got turned off, and then like we're going to hear later, it ended up not working out as much as I'd hoped.
Yeah. There was a bit of a surprise there for everybody. But yeah, exciting stuff. I'm glad. It was good to see you. I got to hang out with you a little the night before. We had dinner because you came in a little late, so we let you come in and do your paperwork and everything right after the meeting, and did our own little meeting at dinner. And so yeah, we got to hang out and talk a little bit, which we hadn't really had much of a chance to do. So that was good. So yeah, it was nice to see you the next day do well. All right. Well, if you want to hang out, you can. I might bring everybody back in at the end, and we'll talk about some of the stuff that's coming up and what people are doing. If not, have a great night, and I'll see you next time.
I definitely want to hear how their day went too. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Hang out. No problem. Good guy. Okay. So we touched on it a little bit there. Like I said, the conditions were pretty brutal. Everybody who was there knows what was going on. But on Wednesday, it was like 81 degrees and sunny. And by Saturday, when we fished the tournament, it started off about 38 in the morning, and the high that day was like 48, 49 degrees. The water was still fairly warm. The water was like 67 degrees. It was warmer than the air. I'd put my hands in the water. I'm like, oh, that feels kind of nice compared to the air. But it was breezy. You'd get wet, and then the breeze would blow into you, and it was pretty miserable. But I'm glad that some other people were able to weather the storm and do well there. So our third place angler at the event from Oregon was Andrew Larson. Let's bring Andrew in. Andrew, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Marvin. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. I guess turned your name back on there. Speaking of your name, I was calling you the wrong name at 10 Mile over and over when we were taking pictures, and I finally realized afterwards what that was about. Why I was doing that is for some reason in my head, your name I got twisted with Jason Carlson. So Andrew Larson, Jason Carlson, a lot of the same letters. And for some reason, I just had this mental block, and I kept calling you Jason. I'm like, Jason. You're like, who are you talking to?
You did it a couple times. Yeah,
I did. And then I realized after, I'm like, why was I doing that? And I think that's what it was. Not that you don't look anything like Jason Carlson, but I think in my head, I just went there for some reason. But it was kind of hilarious. Congratulations, third place. You've had kind of a sneaky season. You haven't been on the podium till this one, but you've been right below it. You've just been skimming the surface at every event. Like, your AOI score is great. That's why you're really in good AOI contention at this point, is because you've had, I could pull it up. Let me pull up.
Just been hanging around.
You've just been sneaking under the radar a little bit, which is awesome. I love to see that. And it's a good lesson about AOI. It's really about consistency. I mean, winning's great, and it certainly doesn't hurt your AOI score to win. But let me switch this over, and I think I can probably do it where we can both see it. Come on.
Yeah, it's been a fun season, just being in the hunt and getting close at the end of the tournaments, and one fish away kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think you're going to appear here. There you are. And the webpage is there. It's just a little sluggish tonight. I don't know what's going on. I'm not seeing the webpage yet. Hello. It was just working a moment ago when I was here. Well, maybe that's not going to work. I guess it's not. Well, that's strange. It was just working a moment ago. But yeah, so you ended up, let's see, you and Brandon are tied for second now in AOI. Jordan's in first. You had a 194, so you were like sixth place or seventh place, sixth or seventh place at Potholes. And then you were fourth place at 10 Mile. And now third place here. So you've just Jordan's been riding steady. You've been climbing up. So the way this trajectory's going, you should pass him next time. Yeah, he has. He's had a
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. If we look at the curve, you're about to pass him, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was great to see you do well at this event. What do you tell us a little bit about your day and what worked for you? Why do you think it was working? And tell us how you enjoyed that weather.
The weather, that was terrible, but I had my waders and I was dressed for winter steelhead, so it wasn't too bad. But from launch, I took off and no one else came across the lake to my area, so I had it to myself, which was nice. So I kind of fished slow, and I had like 3 or 4 spots that I was planning on hitting, and I caught fish right off the get-go. I had a couple scorables in the first 10 minutes and catching a lot of 10s and 11s. And I went down a couple sloughs that I hadn't fished yet and trying to get a largie, and nothing big, but I got to my second spot, and it was I got like 2 16s there, and I had a pretty good score by like 8 or so. And then I checked the leaderboard, and Jordan was already he was in the 80s, like 5 inches ahead. But I kept hitting. I'd move like a half hour, and then I'd hit a spot, and I'd pick up a keeper, and I closed that gap down to like 1 inch. And I got to my final area, and I got a 17.5, and then the next cast I hooked my biggest fish of the day, and I lost it right below the boat. I had the net ready, and I was pulling it up, and it's just a couple feet below the boat, and it came off. And so I took a break from that. Try not to get too down about it. It happens.
It's hard. Hard.
I knew that fish was pretty rare to come across in that tournament. It's probably for the win. Probably lost it right there. But I gave it a break, and I came back a half hour trying to get that fish. And I fished around there for like 2 hours. And then the wind laid down. I figured it was a good time to get back across the lake and kind of finish my day up this slough where I'd caught some largies the day before. And I got a nice 15, but he didn't help. And the last 10 minutes, I was fishing this grass line with the spinnerbait, and I had this big shadow come out and follow it, and it got close to the boat, and it was it made like a beeline for it, and it was a beaver. It was like a small juvenile beaver. I thought it was like a 5-pound largie. It was like the same silhouette, but I pulled my line out of the water quick. I did not want to mess with that. Hook a beaver right at the end of the day.
Don't want to have.
But I've never had that before.
Beaver. No, I haven't either. I've had them come up and smack their tail around me, but I haven't had one ever go near a bait. That's crazy. So you had an all smallmouth bag, like you were saying. You did go looking.
I lost you there, Marvin.
Oh yeah, it paused again. For some reason, it's really sluggish tonight. But yeah, so you had an all smallmouth bag. You said you were trying for largemouth a little bit, but but no luck with that really, or at least nothing of size. Yeah, the area I was in, it seemed to be all largemouth. So I think it really just depended on where you were fishing. That's kind of typical for Cascade. It's usually like a mostly smallmouth bag, and then somebody like podium winners a lot of times there will have a mostly smallmouth bag and like maybe 1 largemouth or 2 largemouth.
That's what I was going for. But it's a cool place. Really cool place to fish.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Like the whole... It is, yeah. I wish the weather was a little better, but it was still cool experience.
Well, the previous weekend was gorgeous, and the following weekend was gorgeous. So it's like
Yes.
luck of the draw. When we pick the schedule, we don't know what's going to happen.
You never know. Yep.
No. And what were you throwing?
I was throwing a drop shot all day. So I caught them on quite a few different things in practice, but I had a feeling they were going to be pretty finicky on tournament day. And
Sure.
I was getting bit, like catching fish first thing in the morning. I tried all the rods I'd thrown the day before, and I didn't get a bite on anything except, so I went back to the drop shot, pretty much fished that the rest of the day. I had a good feeling that they weren't going to hit anything moving. It was real slow, really heavy weight just to deal with the waves because it's pretty rough where I was fishing. So it's tough to feel a bite and keep it still like they wanted. But yeah, I kind of figured out, what they liked and how to fish it in the conditions.
It's a big lake. It's really a big lake. And so when you're out in the middle of that lake, I learned on Friday, a big squall came through, and I think it was some of the roughest conditions I've ever been out on the water in. There were giant waves, and I'm trying to motor through it, power through it, and I'm just bouncing on the waves, and water's coming over my head, and I was just soaked to the bone.
Yeah. Those long lakes where that wind runs in the same direction, like Banks Lake looks like the same kind of thing where it runs south to north and gets all that momentum and probably gets the same way.
Yeah, the cool thing is with both of those lakes, if you don't want to deal with that, there are places to get out of it on both banks and on Cascade, which is cool. And I was out of it where I was. I wasn't. I had a breeze, kind of a strong breeze, but no hard wind on Saturday. But I didn't go out into the middle of the lake on Saturday. I know a few of the people we're talking to tonight kind of did, and that seemed to be one of the secrets to their success is getting out in the main part of the lake. So yeah, I'll talk about that with the remaining two guys. I know Kyle was not out in the main part of the lake, but I think these other two guys may have been. So it'll be interesting to see. Well, hang out if you want, and I'll get everybody back on near the end, and we'll talk a little bit about plans. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Marvin.
Thanks for joining me. Good job. All right, that's great. That's Andrew's first appearance on the Current. Our next two guests are no strangers to the Current because they have both been on the podium this year. Our next guest is Jordan Duggar. I think this is his third, if I'm not mistaken, appearance on the Current. Jordan, how's it going? Third appearance, is that right? Can you hear me? Jordan, you there? We're having sluggish results here tonight for some reason.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pausing. It's kind of latency issues tonight. I don't know why.
Anytime you click on something.
I was saying I think this is your third time on the pod, right?
Yeah, it is. 3 in a row. Kind
Well done.
Yep.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about your day. As Andrew kind of alluded to, you kind of were doing really well on the leaderboard all day. You were looking great
Right.
all day, and really when we turned the standings off, you were on top and you were the guy to beat. So talk to me a little about your day and what your mindset was going into that, and when standings went off.
Well, like you kind of hinted, I went out to the middle of the lake. I was fishing off the points of that big island out there, out in 15 to 20 feet of water. And like Andrew, just dead sick in a drop shot. I noticed that if I was moving it at all, it was perch that would bite it. But if I could let it sit there, not move it, that's when the bass would bite.
And the perch would ignore it when it was sitting still.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
I
handy.
also learned that if you catch a perch, move 20 feet, there's probably a bass there. They weren't in the same exact spot, but they were close.
Got it.
Which definitely helped. But yeah, I started my morning out. I went out to where I had 2 spots during practice. I practiced on Thursday when it was super calm, and I had bass busting on bait, like way out in the middle, like 30 feet of water. So like I had two spots where they were doing that, and of course I could not catch them to save my life. I threw everything I had. I think I caught two bass on Thursday and two more on Friday. Just throwing everything I could. But the fish I did catch were dead sick in a drop shot, so I had my pattern down to start with at least. And two starting spots. Luckily for me, the cold front moved all that bait that was at the surface down to the bottom, so I could see the bass were lower to the bottom on my graph, which gave me a lot more confidence going into it.
Sure.
And yeah, I think I didn't catch my fish for like 30 minutes, so like I was sitting there just trying not to move it, looking at the scoreboard, watching other people catch fish really quick, and I'm like, well, this is gonna suck. And then,
been there.
yeah, and then eventually I had a really quick window. I caught like 4 fish within like 30-40 minutes, and then had my limit within an hour. I think by 7:30, and then the bite kind of died off for me, and that was when the wind picked up too. So I think it was just I couldn't keep my drop shot still, and so I ended up going to my second spot, which was a little more protected, and maybe 10 minutes of being there, I made 2 big upgrades. One of them was my biggest fish, and then another one was a pretty good, I think it was my 3rd biggest fish. And then that's kind of how my day sat. I had one more bite, which I was guessing was the biggest fish of the day for me. Had it right at the boat, was getting ready to net it, and then it jumped and torpedoed down, just snapped my line right there. And so like, yeah, it's one of those where I wish I would have just boat flipped it.
Yeah. Well, hindsight. Yeah. That's even more heartbreaking, honestly, than the shaking it before it gets in the net.
Right.
That happened to Andrew. Because when it breaks your line, you're just like, oh, if I had had the drag set just a little lighter, or if I had 2 more pound test on, or, you'd go through. Or
I loosened my drag after that. I'm like, I'm not doing that again.
Yep. Been there. I've had it happen. I've lost tournaments over a fish that broke the line.
Yeah, I only needed 1 inch, and I think that fish would have got me there because my smallest was 16, and it looked very similar, if not bigger than the bigger one that I'd caught. So like, there's that what if fish. But I think everyone has that every tournament.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no question about it. Your mom, Lacey, had the first fish of the day. She caught one at 6:07, but I think like me, she was off the water pretty early. If I remember what
you
what
cut
she
out,
said.
But I'm guessing
I was saying your mom was the first one on the board. She caught the first fish of the day at 6:07,
Right.
7 minutes in. She almost tied Mark McKee. He caught one just a few seconds after. Right. But I think like me, she was off the water pretty early.
Yeah, she got off, and then the wind kind of calmed down where we were at, and she came back out. And then
good.
Probably a few hours later, it picked up and was way worse. And at that point, I was back in my first spot and just getting drilled by the wind. So
yeah, it
was pretty miserable for the last couple hours for me.
Yeah, it seemed like it was going to get nice for a minute there when I was packing up. Of course, I'm packing up all my stuff, and then there's some blue sky, and the sun came out, and the wind wasn't. I was like, "What the heck?" There's your mom now. She just commented. I was super excited to have that one quick. Yeah, I bet you were. You almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course it got worse later. Patrick Kelly was one of my housemates, and when he got back, like right when people were getting off the water at Lines Out, it started pouring rain, and yeah, he came back and he was soaked.
Oh yeah, I was soaked all the way through. It was like I was wearing bibs, and there's a little flap over my zipper that I didn't do, so it was just slowly trickling down the front of me, and then my rain gear, my rain jacket, it got soaked through.
Oh man. So like Andrew, you were an all smallmouth bag, right? Let me look at that. Yeah, all smallmouth. And almost, you and Andrew had like crazy identical scores. Like it was. Let's see if
Right.
we can. Let's see if we can get this web thing to work again. We'll give it another shot. See if the web page appears.
I tried to go shallow during practice and catch like largemouth, but I didn't find anything. I mean, when I did it, the wind was blowing from the south, so where I went was just getting hit with it. But then, of course, tournament day, it swapped directions and changed everything that I had kind of figured out in practice.
Of course. Yeah, it's just not wanting to bring up the web page. That is so strange. It was working when we were testing things. Oh well. And even when I was on. Well, let's come back to you here in this view. So, talk to me about how you were feeling at when the standings went off and about your position and how things were going for you. You knew there were some names missing on the board that always have potential.
Yeah, I knew. Like, I was checking it. I mean, all throughout the day,
Yeah.
since I had nothing else to do. I'm not actively fishing,
Sure.
just soaking and drops up. But yeah, I saw Mumford hadn't posted any fish,
Right.
and like TJ, he only had a couple. So I was like, there's either he has bad service where he went, or maybe a little sandbagging going on. I wasn't sure what I knew. I knew with me not catching fish for the last 4 hours, it was going to be hard for me to hold on. Like, I expected at least one, maybe two people to pass me there. So I was happy to be in second, my best finish of the year.
Yeah, it was a little shocking for us judging it when those fish dropped at the end, and because we were watching you on top all day. We're like, oh, Jordan's he's had such a great consistent year, 2 third places, and then we thought this was going to be your 1, but it ended up being your 2. So still, it's a good direction to be going, right?
Right. Yeah. I've never won a KFNW tour event.
You've never won
8 years
first
doing this.
in a tour event?
Nope.
Oh, wow. You've been AOI and you've never won a first, which is crazy. Yeah. Well, for years it was like that for me when I was fishing more. Is I had lots of thirds and seconds, but like no first, and then I finally did get a first. But yeah, it's tough, and it's even tougher now. I heard Dan Walker was saying that the other day. Like, you can't just like show up and think you're going to do well anymore, because we're taking the best anglers from all 3 states,
right,
and putting them against each other. So competition is pretty fierce now when we go to these events.
I mean, that's the one thing I do love about all of us combining. Like, it is a challenge. Like, you got to work for it. I mean, yes, somebody does get lucky every now and then, but
oh, sure,
it usually kind of comes down to the people who do the most research, are able to get a lot of time on the water to where they're, like, even if it's not the lake we're fishing, just being aware of kind of how fish are reacting throughout the year. That's been one of the biggest things for me, is just getting out every weekend.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I could not agree more. It's time on the water and time researching and pre-fishing and figuring stuff out. Although it's funny, like, pre-fishing is such a weird thing, Sometimes it really can seem to help you. Other times it can seem to hurt you. And then other times, like,
right,
you don't get a chance to pre-fish and you do super well. It's like, well, why am I even bothering then?
I've done that too. I used to never pre-fish because my free fish was way better than tournament day. So I was like, well, I'll just stop.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out tournament day.
My best tournaments that I have fished, I've done almost 0 pre-fishing. Little or no pre-fishing. There's some that I did 0. Like, I showed up Friday night and got up in the morning on a lake I'd never fished before and just went out there and did really well. And I don't know, I kind of like that. I think that I find that kind of fun, is the challenge of like going somewhere you've never been and just trying to figure out the puzzle.
Yeah, that is fun. Except for this one, I'm glad I had the 2 days of practice.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Thursday, I found the fish. Friday, I got to see how the cold front affected them and really put my game plan together for Saturday.
Nice, very methodical.
Even though I didn't catch many during the during practice, I was able to
You still figured it
find my
out.
spot, and yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt on Friday. Like I figured out where the fish were and what they were hitting. I caught them on multiple baits, and I was like, okay, all this is working. So, but then, the cold did me in, not the fish. Well, that's cool.
No, I toughed it out. It
Good
wasn't
man.
fun, but I toughed it out.
Good man. Well, thanks for joining us. Hang out, and we'll bring you back on at the end and do a little group hug, virtual group hug. All right. Wow, what a year Jordan has had. He's just having a killer year. He's been on the podium at every event, and we're going closer to his home waters for this next event at Banks Lake. So I think the guns are going to be blazing between a lot of these anglers we're talking to tonight and some who didn't make the podium, aren't here tonight, that are ready for Banks Lake. I think it's going to be an exciting one. Let's bring Michael Mumford on. He is our first place winner. Michael, you turn your name on so people know who you are. There you go. Welcome. You're muted, I think. You're muted.
There we go.
Now we can hear you. Thanks. Thanks for joining me tonight. Well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
so,
Mark.
like we were talking to Jordan about, you were kind of a late bloomer on this. You hadn't really uploaded anything until near the end, and I think Matt and I were looking at it when we were doing the judge, and we're like, oh, he's just holding his fish. But then I looked at the catch times, and I was like, wait a minute. He wasn't really holding his fish very much. He just didn't catch anything for a long time. And then all of a sudden you got on a bite and picked him up. And you were kind of out in the open too, weren't you, like the last two guys?
Yeah, I was like Boulder Creek, but I was out in like the main lake part of it.
Okay, but
I was
closer
a little more. I was more protected than
a little more
the
protected.
island, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I think that helped me at the end of the day.
Well, yeah. Tell us about it. Tell us about your day and how it worked.
Man, like it was such a roller coaster. We keep talking about the cold front. I kind of knew the cold front was good. You had to change something, had to do something to the fish. And in practice, we had that Friday, which was kind of nice. Like, whereas it sucked because it was cold, but it was nice because you could actually get a feel for kind of what the fish were going to do. And in practice, I had actually kind of a shallow topwater bite. I was throwing a spook, and so that was kind of my strategy was start with the topwater in the morning and try to get some good fish that way. So I go to my first spot in the morning, and I catch one fish. I think probably took me an hour in that area, and I think it was like a 14 and a half. And I slowed it down, went back through the area, didn't catch another fish, and so at that point I was kind of a little bit in panic mode, where I'm like, I wasn't sure what to do, but my backup plan was to run and gun with forward-facing sonar and just try to plink off fish here and there that are chasing bait. And so that's kind of what I decided to do. I switched up, and basically I cruised at like mile and a half and just panned left and right until I saw some fish, and then some of them were 14-inch perch, which was really annoying.
I caught one about that big, about this big.
Yeah, you'd think it looked like scoreable bass, and
yeah.
But I remember I went on to a big point there, and that's kind of where it began for me. Was later in the day. I went onto the point, and I see these 4 fish, and they're definitely bass. You can tell they're bigger bass, and I throw the mooch minnow over top of them. Like 3 of them come up, and they're chasing it and kind of fighting for the bait, and bam, I hook one. And I think it was the first one that I scored that went on my went towards the tournament. And that was at like 16 something. And so I caught that, and oh shoot, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
You might have froze.
You're good.
There
Keep
we
going.
go.
Yeah.
I think I'm back. Okay. And so then basically I had the one good one and I had another one. And so I was just like, well, I'm going to go cruise to this other spot. And this is literally how I found it. I'm cruising, I'm panning left and right. And I'm in like 25 foot of water. I see like 10 of them, like 10 fish. It was just like, it was the mega school I was looking for in practice, honestly. And I pull up first cast, I catch a 17. I think second cast, I catch like a 15. And then, I mean, I caught a bunch of 16s. It was like 16, 16, 16. I had a limit. And then I would catch some 16s and 15s and then some 17s here and there. But I did catch my 18, my biggest one. That was like the last 10 minutes. I kind of figured out towards the end that you could get them to, because I was fishing pretty thick weeds. I could get them to come out of the weeds with the mooch minnow. And so they would follow the bait out. And then I would toss I kind of see where they went back in. And I'd toss a drop shot in there.
Something slow.
And just like the other guys.
That's great.
You just
Very
toss
smart.
a drop shot in there and let it sit.
Yeah, using it kind of as a search bait and just to rile them up a little bit. Yeah, if you get them to move out of their spot, they're going to be more likely to bite.
Yeah, that was my thought. I had 4 of them were on the mooch minnow and my 18 was on the drop shot.
That's
so it was
great.
mostly mooch minnow deal for me.
Well, let me try this one more time, the web page. Let me see if I can get it to work. Let's see if it works here. We'll take Jordan off there and we'll bring Mike in. You should appear. Yeah, now it's working. It didn't work for anybody else and now it's working. Great. Okay. So it was really interesting that you three at the top ended up 85, 84, 83. Boom, boom, boom. Which is nuts, an inch apart. Yeah. But if you look at Jordan and Andrew, they were like almost tied. I mean, 17 and 3/4, 17 and a half, 17 and a half, 16 and a half, all the way down to their smallest fish was a 16. You were just a little better on everything. You had a 16 and a quarter as your smallest, and then you moved up, and you had 3 that were 17 or bigger, which nobody else touched that. So yeah, great job. I mean, again, all smallmouth. Did you catch any largemouth?
I didn't catch any largemouth, and I mean, I wasn't fishing shallow enough to even have a chance, really.
I see.
Largemouth. I mean, you might catch a random one out there, but that was not part of my strategy. I was really worried about the cold front. I figured the smallmouth would hold better through the cold than the largemouth.
Totally true.
And so I didn't even practice for them. I didn't even try and practice.
Yeah, I think that's a smart play. So let me jump over here. I wanted to pull this up earlier, but it wasn't working. But it's good timing here because this is what we were talking about. So this is a new feature that I have been putting on the standings, and I went back and added it to the other events this year too. I'm debating going back and putting it on even older events because it's just cool to look at. But yeah, this is kind of nutty. If you look here, you'll see the first fish caught in his bag was, at least an hour later than anybody else's earliest fish that they caught that ended up in their final bag. And then this is that school of 10, I guess. These 4 that all started at, about 1 o'clock. You had boom, 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 those 4, the constellation of smallmouth. It does look kind of like a constellation on these. But yeah, it's just, so that's why you weren't on the board.
That's why. Yeah, I know.
Lines, standings went off at 1, so you really didn't have any chance to get them on the board. You could have gotten that 1 on, I guess, but what's the point?
Yeah, that was my thought. I mean, it's like everybody thought I was sandbagging, but no, I like to upload during the day. I'm not a big fan.
You
of
usually do. Yeah, you're not one to upload at the very end like that.
But I mean, especially there, I'm looking at a school. I'm looking at a school of fish. I'm not going to take the time when there's 45 minutes, an hour left in the tournament to upload fish at the end, especially when people can't see it. So
sure. Well, that's so cool. There's you and your biggest fish.
Yeah, Yeah, that 18 was crazy. That 18 was it jumped on the other side of my kayak. Like it was so scary. So like I have like my active target pole, and then obviously I run a bow mount.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to land him, and I'm coming he goes underneath my net, under the kayak, jumps on the other side of the kayak and hits the side of my boat. Like nightmare situation.
Oh, geez. Yeah. That's a recipe for losing that fish for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I was pretty lucky to land that. I mean, I lost probably two. I think I lost two pretty good ones as well. They were short striking the mooch minnow. Like it was hard to get them to eat it.
Yikes. Well, while we've got the internet going, let's take a look at the AOI. You're in great shape for AOI as well. We were talking about Jordan and Brandon and Andrew, but you're in fourth. You're just a little bit behind Andrew and Brandon. And from what Brandon's saying, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to complete many more events this year. So he may be out of the running. So that really leaves the three of you guys who are with me tonight. So that's kind of exciting to have all of you on here right in the hump day of the season. This is the hump day, the Wednesday event. We've got two more tour events. And how do you feel your chances are? We're going to Banks, and then we're going up to Pend Oreille. I don't think many of us have much experience with Pend Oreille except for the Coeur d'Alene and Pend Oreille folks.
Yeah, I've never fished Pend Oreille, so I'm excited for that. Sometimes you fish better at places you've never been because you don't have history. And
Totally. Well, that's cool. And Banks, you're looking forward to Banks? Oh, I think I froze you up here. He's calling back in. There we go.
for some reason, it booted me.
Yeah, it does every once in a while. Somebody will get kicked out.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like Pend Oreille is going to be fun. I think a lot of us are excited for Pend Oreille. Banks Lake, obviously, I grew up on Banks Lake, and so I grew up right next to Banks. So there's a little bit of history there, but it was when I was younger. But I probably fished it over around 100 times, probably.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't fished either one, so I'm looking forward to just going to them and checking them out and seeing how they.
Banks is epic. I keep telling everybody like Banks is my favorite lake. You know, I grew up on it. It's got a little soft spot there for me because that's probably where I learned how to fish. Was Banks Lake. You know, I remember being like 9 years old fishing Banks Lake.
Oh, geez.
All of my good childhood memories are all on Banks. I would, as soon as I got my first truck, I would go there on weekends and camp and fish there for 3 days and all kinds of stuff. So I'm pretty pumped for Banks. History can hurt you sometimes though, and so
fishing memories is dangerous.
Yeah, especially I'm fishing pretty old memories. You know, I've lived in Boise.
True.
I've lived in Boise for a while, and so it's been a long time since I've really been there. But it is an extremely fun lake to fish. You don't have to worry about the wind. Chances are there's going to be wind. The place just tends to have a lot of wind in the narrows, but there's a ton of places to hide from it that have big fish. And so, as long as you're not in the narrow part of it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If it is windy.
We'll be watching the weather for that one and warning people at the pre-event briefing for sure, because it's again a big lake. Two big lakes in a row, Cascade and Banks, huge.
Yeah, I mean Steamboat Rock there tends to get pretty gnarly, just because that's kind of the end of the narrows, and you can get in trouble there. And so definitely everybody be checking the wind on that one. But other than that, if you're on the other side of the Steamboat, you're fine. And so it'll be a fun tournament. I think as far as my odds for Angler of the Year, it's going to be a showdown. I think Doug is
going to be a showdown. I mean, between I mentioned you guys, and then next after that is Andrew Janke. He is he's 7 points behind you. So that's where it starts to, and then we got Chris Williams, Will Raymond after that. That's where it starts to get tougher for them to come back. It's going to be a little more challenging for them, but all of you guys, if Brandon's out, then it really, Jordan, Andrew, and you all, it's yours to lose. Let's put it that way. You're all
I think
in
it's
there.
Jordan's to lose. Jordan looks pretty good.
And you're all looking pretty good. I mean, Andrew's, like I said, he's had a sneaky season where he's just done well at every event, but not well enough that he got noticed much until now. And now he's exposed. So we'll be keeping our eyes on Andrew the rest of the season too. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what the three of you, and somebody's going to come from behind and do something amazing too. And one of you guys will have a tough day. It just happens. But that's where, having one mulligan, this year to be one, because we've got 5 events this year instead of 6. So there's only one throwaway event. You can miss one, or we'll take your lowest score and we'll throw it away. That's how it's set up. And it's cool that we've got it now in Tourney X. In fact, now we can see it, I think, now that it was working. Let's see if it keeps working. Here it is. That should get bigger in a second here. Come on. Technical difficulties tonight. There it comes. So yeah, there it is. We've got Jordan in the middle on top, and then Andrew and Brandon are tied at second and third. But yeah, it's
really tight. I mean, this is an extremely tight, like it's anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, between you and Jordan is, let's see, you've got a 582. Yeah, 13 points. I mean, that's doable, especially if you throw away.
That's the thing is that's kind of like I've probably given up my gimme, which like if you're going for angler of the year, you definitely, it's not ideal to give it up on your first tournament.
Yeah,
because then you gotta fish clean the rest of the year, but anything's possible.
Well, in that one, we had you on after that one, on the native one, because that was the irony of that one is you won the native event.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't do that great in the KFNW event, but you won the no limit on the native because you just found a slew of 14s and 15s.
Yeah, I kind of just like, I accepted the fact that I was going to give up the KFNW deal on that one. I was so focused on winning the native. I wanted a native check so bad, and I did not want anybody to catch me. And so I was like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to catch 14 inches all day, and nobody's going to catch me.
I think that was really smart. And I think most of us would have a tough time making the call that you did and saying, you know what? I'm just going to stick with these 15s and see if I can catch a whole bunch of them. Like, that's a kind of a tough decision to make. But I guess you said you didn't really have a lot of choice because you weren't picking up anything bigger in practice anyway.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like I could have ran maybe new water and tried a few different things to try to find some bigger fish, but like it didn't make sense to, when you had the native one, basically I had it in my grasp as long as I stayed there, or go risk it for
Sure.
And then maybe I don't get nothing. So I'm really, really happy I decided to do that because I mean it's cool. Like I've never done well at a native event, so that was kind of my revenge tournament. I felt like
Nice.
So
yeah, it was a good total too. It really held up against a lot of other places that we've done the no limit. It held up. So yeah, great job. Let me switch this back to a view of us. There we go. Oh wow, here it comes. Yeah, this is it's slow tonight. Oh, speaking of AOI, Brandon Hua says, it'll be fun to watch. I guess that's his subtle way of saying to watch you guys because I won't be in it. We'll see. He's said this before. He's threatened this before sometimes and then ended up fishing anyway. So.
Wait, what was that?
You see the note down there from Brandon?
It'll be fun to watch, yeah.
He's implying that he's not going to be there, which he has threatened that in the past and then showed up. So we'll see what he does. But
we'll
I know he's making plans for going to the Bassmaster Championship, and he's trying to save his money and focus on that. But he's going to also he's a competitive guy. He's going to be like, I got to get out there and fish some of these. So we'll see. But yeah, the last two are a haul for him. as they are for many of us. I mean, Banks isn't too bad for he and I. Brandon and I don't live far apart. It's like 5.5 hours for me to Banks and about 8.5 for me to get to Ponderay. So
Yeah, I think Banks is kind of conveniently.
it's not that bad
close.
for you.
I think it's close for quite a few people, really.
Yeah, the
Like-
Tri-Cities is sort of the most central area. Like when we do
Yeah.
Lake Wallula, that's not that far from anybody. Brandon says he's retiring. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't
Sure
think
you
so.
are. But yeah, it's that Tri-Cities area is good for that reason, because we usually get good numbers there just because it's not that far from Boise. It's not that far from Portland. It's not that far from Seattle. Yeah. It's and even the Coeur d'Alene people, it's still far from like the Medford Ashland people, the Southern Oregon people. It's a long way, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 6 hours for me, so that's
yeah,
not bad.
not that bad. Well, cool. Thanks for joining me tonight. Let me bring the gang back on, and we'll say hello to everybody. I think this is it. The little skinny windows. I have to get centered. Thanks, guys. It's good to see all of you. Congratulations. Well done. It sounds like you all made some kind of smart moves that made the difference. Who was it? Jordan said, you can just get lucky sometimes and do well. And he's right. But I think all of you guys really seem to make some choices that put you here on the podium.
Yeah, I think it was like a lot of good decisions, and I think for me at least too, is colors was a big deal. I don't know about for you guys, but I definitely switched to the green pumpkin on my mooch minnow, and that like changed my whole tournament rather than throwing white.
You're muted, Jordan, I think. No, you're not muted, but we can't hear you. Anybody else got any insight on color? What colors were you throwing? I take it we paused again because nobody answered me.
Yeah.
Anybody else got insight on color? I can't hear you either, Kyle. You are muted, Kyle. And Andrew is too. Let's see, I can unmute you. Well, maybe I can't.
There it
There you
is.
go, Kyle. Kyle's on.
There you are.
Yeah, I was gonna say I started on green, and luckily I didn't have to change because it was working all day. So
Nice. And how about you, Andrew?
I was using kind of like a pinkish purple color.
Okay. Yeah, I was
And,
throwing kind of a purplish kind of thing too.
Like a
White-
margarita mutilator, but I don't think that was the one I actually had. I forgot the name of it.
Oh,
but
you're talking about like a morning dawn or something, a really purple. Yeah,
Yeah,
mine was more
morning dawn.
whitish purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
so,
Well, before I send you guys on your way, is there anybody one at a time? Let's start with Kyle and move their way to me. Anybody you want to thank? Any sponsors that you want to thank, or family or friends that helped you out?
I mean, for the most part, my wife for letting me to go because that's always the one that I have to get the approval for. But no, other than that, Google Earth. Thanks for all of the lead up since I didn't get pre-fishing time. Did a whole bunch of looking at the map and trying to figure out a game plan. So
Nice. Andrew?
thanks to the family. Thanks for the wife also for letting me go. And my daughter for writing my little good luck notes that I am allowed to open tournament morning, which always puts me in a good mood for the
That's
tournament.
great. That's awesome.
So always pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it.
That's great. Andrew's wife fished with him in the Open that we did down at Dorina, and they won the team tournament. So that was fun.
That was really cool. Yeah.
How about you, Jordan? Who would you like to thank? I still can't hear you, Jordan. Your mic is not working. Sign language? Can you tell? Native. He's
Thank
thanking
Native.
Native. Yes, he's on the Native team with me. So, yeah. Thanks to Native and his family that goes to all these events with him. So, and how about you, Mike?
Definitely my wife, of course, for all her support, and then Northwest Tackle. If you guys are looking, if anybody's looking at getting, especially Rapala stuff, he has a ridiculous collection of Rapala. So like your mooch minnows and things like that. He's got
cool.
every single color, and so definitely buy from them. I mean, he obviously supports KFNW as well.
Mm-hmm. He's our media sponsor.
So
yeah.
It's super important that we support our people that support us. So check out Northwest Tackle.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Green
true.
pumpkin mooch minnow. Buy them.
It worked for Mike. It can work for you.
Good plug.
Yeah, it's good. We've got a lot of great sponsors, and I'll do real quick a thank you to all of them. Snake River Manufacturing, they're our title sponsor this year. We couldn't have done this season without them. Diamond Parking and Diamond Self Storage are our presenting sponsor. Thanks to them, a long-term sponsor. Native Watercraft is a sponsor this year. They are a sporting sponsor, and they're donating a Titan X this year. So everybody who fished 3 or more events this year will win a Titan X. Thanks so much to Native. Boggs Footwear. Boggs Footwear, we're giving away a couple pair of shoes or boots at every event. They also are supporting sponsors, so they helped us run the series this year. And we've got samples that we've had at all the events that people can check out. And at Pond Array, we'll be giving those samples away. So you got 6 chances of getting some footwear at Pond Array, which is cool. And then Northwest Tackle is our media sponsor this year. We've got 2 platinum sponsors for our gear sponsors. NRS, they donated a whole bunch of gear. And G. Loomis donated a rod to every tour event this year. So a big shout out and a thanks to G. Loomis and NRS as well. I think that's about it for you guys. I'll send you on your way, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the season long for a minute. Give people a heads up. You guys can certainly hang out for that if you want. I think I can get just about all of you on the page. Let's see. Let's see if I can. Well, I got everybody but Kyle. I can't fit you, Kyle. But let me jump over there to the season long, and let's take a look at where it's going. Corey Carlisle is still on top, 219 and a half. Every fish on the board is 21 or bigger, which is nuts. Wow. Joff Linson's right behind him at 213.75. Brandon Hua is holding his own at 212. Michael Jarvis with 202.25. Pat Moore with 198.5. Rich Childs, 197. Ryan Flores tied with him at 197. Jacob Jarvis at 196. Garrett Harrison at 194 and a quarter. Andrew Larson, you're sitting in 10th. Kevin Amaral is in 11th with 192. Josh Howard with 191. Shailesh Prasad in 13th with 187.25. Robert Motherwell with 185.5. And Josh Morgan sitting in 15th with 183.5. We're going to be paying out. I went down to 15 because we're going to be paying out 15 places in this season along this year. So it's you might have a tough time catching Corey and beating him, but heck, you can make it into that top 15. That's doable. So that's one reason we're doing it that way. We like to spread out the money, especially if it's online. Get a lot of people cashing a check. They won't be huge checks, but you'll at least make your money back and a little bit more. So we're looking forward to that. our biggest fish so far still is Brandon with that 22 3/4. He and Joff both caught it, but you can see up here Brandon's gonna win it because he caught it earlier. But look at that beast. Look at the belly on that thing. So yeah, there's still time. You can still sign up for this, and you still got a shot at doing well in it. So jump in, fish the season long. I think that's about everything. Our next event, like we've mentioned, is tour event number 4 at Banks. How many of you guys are going to Banks? Show of hands. Everybody. And Kyle, we can still hear you. He's doing this. He's saying this. Maybe. Maybe. It's a little further for you, but doable.
It's worth it.
It's not as far as 10 mile.
Really, it's only 3 hours for me, so that's one of those ones that's fairly centrally located. So
great, you got to do it then.
Really,
you got to do it.
It's the kid has a baseball tournament. That's what's the hang up.
Understood. Anniversaries in baseball tournaments are tough. So yeah, I hear you. But yeah, so that's our next event, July 25th, Saturday, July 25th. Next weekend, we will be doing our primer for that event on the KFNW Current. I did have to move this back a week. So next week, we'll have the KFNW Current on again, and I will be doing a primer talking about Banks. Who are my guests on that? Are one of you guys my guest? I can't remember now. Let's see who my guests are. I think I have it written down here. No, it's not you guys. It's going to be Trey Potts and Patrick Kelly. Trey won our last event on Banks, and Patrick took second, I believe. So those guys are going to join me next week, and we will talk about Banks Lake. I think that's about everything I've got. And then August, we don't have any tour events, but we've got the opens. We'll talk about that a little bit next week as well, the opens that are coming up. I hope some of you can join us at those as well. With that, I bid all of you adieu, and remind everybody. Oh, I left you out again, Kyle. Sorry. I'll say goodnight to all of you, and remind everybody to please be safe on the water. Wear your PFDs, and come back home to your family. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Marvin.
Good night.
Thank you, Marvin.
We'll see you guys.